Hi, I'm Paul with Boaters Exchange in Rockledge, Florida. Today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the Cobia 28 center console. It's called the 280cc. Just a few things about Cobia that I'd like to point out. First of all is they have a really cool name, but besides that, Cobia is the #1 selling center console from 26 to 32 feet in the US. And we feel that Cobia is one of the best values, if not the best value in boating today. And by that I mean for the quality, for the features, for the ride and the resale value, the dollar that you spend on this boat with its affordability cannot be beat. They just lead in so many categories. They're made in Fort Pierce, Florida, so they happen to be close by if you're, if you're a Florida boater. We are one of the closest dealers to the factory, being right here in the Space Coast and also in Volusia County at New Smyrna Beach. So the 28 center console 280cc used to be called the 277cc. And about midway through the 2019 model year, they redesigned the console, the windshield, and the hardtop frame, and made it all integrated with D tubing or D channel. And we'll see that in a minute. But the difference, and we get this question a lot, what's the difference between the 277cc and the 280cc? And primarily it is the much more desirable windshield, console, and T-top, hardtop configuration. So that's a little bit about why they've regenerated it, the 280cc. Now what's neat about that console design is that it's consistent throughout their entire center console lineup now, starting with the partway through the 2019 and 2020 model years. So if you're considering this model, it's important to, in my opinion, for resale value, to get a 2019 or better that has the new changes that is, again, consistent with the whole lineup. So let's take a little bit of a look at the boat. It's a 21-degree dead rise hull, and I point that out because we get the question a lot, but it's important to know that dead rise is not a consistent metric, and it's hard to measure a boat's ride quality just by dead rise alone. Dead rise simply means the angle of V at the transom. It says nothing about, how sharp the entry is, whether it be at the V of the bow of the boat or midway through the boat, okay? So it's important to know that dead rise is not everything. A 21-degree dead rise boat, can be very stable and very fuel efficient, but also still have good riding characteristics because of a sharp entry. If you look over here, one thing that a lot of customers like is the integrated anchor configuration. So instead of having an old school anchor roller out the top, we've got a situation where the anchor is integrated into the bow. This boat comes standard with windlass. Well, actually that may be an option, but we order it with windlass, and when you get the windlass, it comes with a stainless anchor. You get it in either 200 feet of road or 300 feet of road. So that's a little bit about the anchor setup. Now, another neat thing about Cobia is that they offer a factory trailer, and the quote-unquote factory trailer is actually made by Ameritrail. Ameritrail is located in St. Cloud, Florida. They're also close by. Ameritrail is, in my opinion, the best made production trailer on the market, and the fact that it comes packaged with the boat and can be optioned with the boat as a factory option means that it is tailor-made to fit the boat. It comes with the factory package, which means stainless fasteners. It means PVC side guides that have the Cobia logo, and then a few other enhanced features. So we like the factory trailer. It certainly is not the least expensive. So one way to save money on a Cobia is to get it with a third-party trailer, and maybe one that's not quite as robust as the Ameritrail is. We don't recommend it, but it is a way to save money. Boats come, most of them come with colored hull sides. That is also an option, and you can see from the side of the boat that it's got very clean lines. There's a little style line right here, about a third of the way down the hull side, and then another one down near the bottom of the hull side. And those style lines don't just add beauty, but they also add structure to the side of the boat. We've learned over the years that the stiffer the hull, the more fuel efficient and generally the better the ride is. So these style lines are important. Coming over here towards the back, we've got that really clean logo. It's the new logo that that just has a great look. And now would be a good time to indicate that these boats are made by a company called the Maverick Boat Group. Maverick Boat Group. Maverick Boat Group is owned individually, privately held by a gentleman named Scott Deal. Scott Deal founded Maverick Boats. Maverick is a technical poling skiff. They also make Hughes Redfishers, and they make Pathfinder bay boats. So what has happened with Maverick Boat Group is that they are now sort of the category leader, whether it be technical poling skiffs, utility flats boats, bay boats. They're the category leader with Pathfinder bay boats, and now with the offshore center consoles with Cobia. Cobia was purchased by Maverick Boat Group in right around 2005 from Yamaha Outboards, Yamaha Marine, and so then Maverick Boat Group went down a process of refining each of the models. And so what we have now in today's 2020 Cobia is very, very different than what Yamaha was putting out back in the day. So that's a little bit about the history, and there's quite a bit more to the history of Cobia. The brand goes way back and actually predates Yamaha. And that's one of the things I like about the boat. It happens to be the very second boat that I ever owned personally. I loved my Cobia 23. I think it was called a 237. And so here we are now, have the good fortune of being a boat dealer. So let's take a look over here on the back side. This boat is powered with twin 250s. It's the new 4.2 liter, I say new, but it's the 4.2 liter power head. A lot to talk about on that motor, so I won't begin to get into all that. You can see that they've got the recessed trim tabs, very nice design. Everything is clean. It's a very, very clean boat. You'll see as we come inside that all of their finish work and their design is very clean. If we look right here, this is a lid for the boarding ladder, which gives me a nice, good standing platform to fish from and doesn't provide a tripping hazard when the ladder is stowed. You'll notice that a lot of boat companies will have the ladder that sort of integrates into the swim step. This one, so that you have then a tripping platform. Well, just one example is that this setup is designed for fishing. By the way, notice the through bolts on this little setup here. And when I say the boat is designed for fishing, this is important because Scott Deal and the team at Maverick Boat Group, they primarily are fishermen, okay? Fishermen, fishing women, whatever the PC term is. And so what you'll notice in the design is that it primarily is a fishing boat. There'll be wonderful family features that are layered on top of that. But the key is that when they think of how they're going to design a particular feature of the boat, they're always going to default what's best for fishing. And in this case, having this little platform is what's best for fishing. So I won't get into all the little nuances, but that's an example of what you'll notice. Let's go take a look at the inside. So as I said on Cobia, it's primarily a fishing boat. Even though this bow seating area is very, very family friendly, they've done things right. First of all, we've got recessed bow rail right here. So everyone has a great handhold, but the cool thing about it is it doesn't get in the way of fishing. If I want to add rod holders up here on the gunnel, I can, because the bow rail is not situated on the top. Cup holders. Now over here we have the seat backrest, and this is a very, very important feature. It's very difficult to sell a center console nowadays without the bow seating backrest, but their design is simple and it's elegant and it's correct. If I want to remove that backrest out of the way, I can just put it back here. Now I've got, for bottom fishing, a nice little rest, a padded, almost like a combing pad. Hey, if I want to just take it out because we're not going to be using the boat that way that day, I can remove it. And now I have a lot more fishing room. So it's just a super smart design. Now this setup for the bow table is a game changer. This is what makes Cobia different. It's a very unique setup, but the cool thing is the bow table can come up with an electric motor all the way from flush. So the table has 3 positions. It's got the all the way retracted down flush with the deck. You can stop it even with the bow wraparound seating and make one big filler. It comes with a cushion, or it has the totally fully up position. But the point is that I can remove this, or take this electric bow table and go all the way flush to the deck, and now I have, it's out of the way for fishing room. The insert here makes a nice platform for sitting, for putting those bow cushions in a full wraparound fashion. But let's say that I'm going to be bottom fishing that day and I don't want this piece in place. It's no problem. I'm going to just take that out and leave it at the dock or at the house, and I've got that much more room up in the bow for fishing purposes. Coming up here to the anchor locker, I'd like to point out that this is an RTM finished lid. It's very nicely made. It's very stiff. I can stand on that. I've got through bolted fasteners, a very elegant, I'm going to use that word again, design for the windlass. This is a frequent point of mistake for boat builders, but what Cobia has done is they've given this very robust platform for the windlass, and but it still gives me plenty of room to get down to the anchor line. Over here, and you can't see it, but over here I've got a washdown. So I can just rinse the mud off of the windlass, off of the anchor. I can rinse off the anchor rope. And oh, by the way, they've given me a support for that coil hose. Finishing it off, again, we're a fishing boat first. Super robust pop-up cleats. I want these cleats down for fishing because I don't want to snag fishing line. Same thing with my Nav Lights. The Nav Light is pop-up. It's a super heavy-duty stainless steel Nav Light. When I'm not using the boat at night, I'm just going to simply pop that down and close the anchor locker. I've got this very clean bow area, not going to snag fishing line. Now we get to the center console. I think it's one of the most exciting parts of the boat. Check this out. So they've got the integrated D-channel tubing that's new for the 280cc. It's totally integrated into the hardtop. We've got a plexiglass, for lack of a better word, windshield wiper. The hardtop is very fluid with the console. It appears to be all one part. So something really neat. The lighting is recessed. There's recessed cutouts for the stereo. So when you put the speakers in, this boat didn't come with a stereo, but if it did, the speakers are recessed. That's a really neat feature. Here's another thing that a lot of boat builders forget: the grab rail. How many times am I trying to board the boat from the dock and I need something to hold on to? But I'm going to tell you, There's a lot of boats that forget this feature, and so that's important. We still have the grab rail back here as well, just on the back side of the D channel. So neat console design. One of my favorite parts is the head and the way that works. By the way, before I open it, we have a cooler built in, very generous. It's big enough, deep enough, holds ice. And then the access to the head is very, very generous. We've got this heavy-duty gas piston, nice wide stairs, almost like a cathedral staircase, if you will, and plenty of room. I've got headroom. I have 2 port lights, one on each side for ventilation, integrated sink with a shower, access to the rigging space back in here. That's freshwater holding tank. I believe that's actually the waste tank. I've got access to the seacocks for overboard discharge. And one of my favorite parts, which is the dry roll toilet paper holder. And I had to do a little reading on this, but what's neat about it is you put the toilet paper roll inside of this, what they call dry roll, and when that comes down, it actually retracts the extra paper. So the whole toilet paper roll retracts in, the paper is up inside, and it's kept dry. There's sea decking on the floor. We've got lighting for the stairs, and then lighting up above, and access to all of the breakers. And then here's a really cool feature. Not only do I have the mirror, right, so that it, number one, makes the compartment look bigger, but is also functional as well. But now I have access to the back side of the console, and it's huge. So very, very nice design. It is big, it's hinged. They've given me easy access to the fuses. And check this out, from a maintenance point of view, as a dealer, here is the Yamaha Interconnect for troubleshooting. So this is where we would plug in our Yamaha laptop to diagnose the Yamaha engines. Super, super sharp. I mean, this alone is unique. And again, access to the back side of the electronics. So that's the center console coming out. Let's look at the other side of the console. Factory installed electronics include the blackout dash, which is a nice black acrylic. It's a very beautiful look. You can add a second screen and opt it that way. But comes with the VHF, comes with the Garmin. It also has up on the top of the dash a convenient holder for cell phones or keys. Again, up into the front of the console. I know what you're thinking. You're asking, does the vent go in or out? And that's the million-dollar question. And the answer is, it goes in. So how cool is this? Instead of the vent for the console, which is a very thick piece of acrylic, instead of that venting forward, which would preclude some of the airflow, what the people at Maverick decided is they're going to have that vent come back. And what's nice about it is it funnels the air directly back to the user. So the windshield is fixed, it's not removable, but this very generous vent makes a huge difference on those hot days. And it's also very watertight. So I love the design. So the small things make the difference. And I always say details, details, and Cobia does details well. They've got 2 overhead electronics boxes. So not only do I have the very front one with a ton of storage up top, they've also got the one that's rear facing. And what I love about it is that their wiring is very, very nice. The boat is pre-wired with a harness for speakers, for the spreader lights. Everything is labeled. And if I want to add speakers to this boat, they've already done a beautiful job of tie wrapping those speaker wires. And all of the connections you can see are heat shrink butt connectors, so they're watertight. But when I say details, here's another example. Right up here, they've got a vent For airflow. There's one on each side. And what does that do? That allows moisture to flow out of that overhead storage and less opportunity for mildew buildup. Those are details that make the difference. Right, on the dash, we've got the cubby hole. We've got a locking glove box. We have a tilt wheel with a nice Edson ball bearing power knob steering wheel. Coming back to the lean bar, this is some serious hardware. Very, very nice upholstery. Got this beautiful two-tone with a baseball stitching. The bolster folds up out of the way so I can sit up on top. I also can slide the seat to and from closer to the wheel. You don't see that very often in a lot of offshore boats. Hey, if you want that toe kick for a little bit of added boost, my wife really likes that feature. You have it. It folds up out of the way. Access to the battery compartment. Super intelligent. I could talk for 15 minutes on the battery strategy and how the auxiliary charge unit works, the auxiliary charge circuit. I'm not going to get super detailed on that, other than to point out that the battery switches are easy to get to. So very, very convenient. And if you look at this battery switch panel, this is no joke. It has the breakers for the always-on circuits, a big breaker for the windlass, the battery switches themselves, and then built-in breakers for some of the high current options, such as the electronics, the stereo amplifier, things like that. Killer storage on the back side of the lean bar. There's two drawers with very comfortable ball bearing style slides, tackle trays, super convenient. Got a toe kick, by the way, gives you more usable deck space. Over here, there's a toe kick rail. This is optional. I recommend it because it's just great for bottom fishing when you're leaning up against that combing pad and you're bending over slightly. It's really handy to have that. Coming over to this side, we have the integrated stern seat. And it is very simple to retract and put away or to put it out. There's a seat backrest that goes in these rod holders. Very simple design. Now this entire hatch, well, before I show you that, I should just mention the live well. Very simple. I don't have crazy lanyards that try to hold that lid back. They're always breaking. Here they've just put a little brake with a piece of acrylic, and that just opens up out of the way. It's got a nice gasket built in. The live well is huge. I don't know the exact number of gallons, but it's super handy. Now, the access to the bilge is through an electric actuated hatch. And this is what everyone wants. They want to be able to get to the bilge area with very ample access. So new design boats, you'll notice a lot of them will have this type of setup. If they don't, it really makes it less desirable. When you come in here, you'll notice that, first of all, if the actuator were to fail electrically, there's a little access hatch here that you can get to and pull this pin. So you can still get to the bilge even with dead batteries. The rod holders are plumbed overboard. Everything is double clamped. The clamps are 180-degree offset for safety. Over on this side, the live well has an insulation blanket. So there's no question about whether or not the live well is insulated. Many boats don't even bother with that. Very clean wiring. It's a beautiful bilge setup. So that's my version of a quick walkthrough on the 28 Cobia. There's way more to cover, but I wanted you to see some of the things that I really like about the boat. It's Cobia's #1 selling center console. I believe it's the #1 selling 28 center console in the US. I might have that wrong. What I'd like to show next are a few safety items. At Boaters Exchange, we are very safety focused, and I've got a few things that I believe every offshore boat owner should have. Let's take a look. Every offshore boat owner should have an EPIRB. It's an emergency beacon And this is the ACR Global Fix V4. What's neat about this particular EPIRB is that it has a 10-year battery. And at the end of 10 years, the battery is user replaceable. These sell for around $500. They might be a little more or less. It's around $500. That is an investment that an offshore boater cannot afford not to have. When it touches the water, there's a sensor in the bottom. It automatically is going to begin broadcasting a beacon and also a strobe flash. This particular model is guaranteed for a minimum of 48 hours of broadcast and strobe flash. The neat thing about it is this Velcro piece comes off and it can be tied to your wrist, and then there's a bunch of twine behind there so it'll float, say, 5 or 6 feet away from you, so that you're not getting blinded by the strobe. So that's critical to have. Everyone should have this. We sell these at a discount because we feel that every boater should have one. There's no reason not to. Another neat safety feature is called the Spot Trace. This is a GPS tracking device, and what it does, it's actually designed as an anti-theft device. It has an internal battery that'll last around 30 days, but we install these hardwired to the boat through a 12-volt harness, and we sort of hide them in different places on the boat. It's GPS-based, not cellular-based, and so a couple things. Number one, if your boat were to be stolen, as an example, you'll receive a text or an email the moment that the boat moves outside of a given perimeter, number one. Number two, so that's kind of the anti-theft aspect of it, or at least theft tracking. And you'll get a discount on your insurance if you buy one of these. By the way, they sell for about $150, and then there's an annual service contract about $99 or something like that. But here's the other part of this, is that it sends out a breadcrumb every 5 minutes. So when your boat is moving across the ocean, every 5 minutes it sends out a ping to a GPS. So it messages to the satellite. It messages to the satellite GPS coordinates. And what my wife likes about it is when I'm offshore, she doesn't particularly like to fish. So when I'm offshore with my son, or we go to the Bahamas, or whatever, she can be monitoring our whereabouts. And when she sees that we're moving around, she has a great comfort feeling. If, heaven forbid, the boat were to go down or were to sink, she would know exactly when and where we went down because the breadcrumbs would stop. That's called Spot Trace. We're happy to offer this as an install on anyone's boat. I won't own a boat without it, period. And then the last safety item that I wanted to highlight is called MOB Plus. It's a wireless man-overboard system, MOB Plus. And MOB Plus is, these things are going to run you a couple $100 for the base kit. You'll probably have, $300-400 with it installed. This is a wireless kill switch. So instead of wearing the safety lanyard attached to your belt, you'll have essentially a wristband or a belt clip, or you can wear the little fob around your neck. Up to 4 people on board the boat can have one of these fobs. It's a transmitter. The captain gets the captain's transmitter. If the captain were to fall overboard, the engines will be killed momentarily. So the engines are going to stop. People that are left on board the boat are going to be able to restart the engines automatically and go rescue the captain. If the captain is on the boat single-handed and he goes, for instance, to take a leak overboard while he was in gear, which should never be done, but let's assume that happened. If he falls overboard, the boat's going to stop. And that's very important. Now, up to 3 additional passengers or up to 3 passengers can also have a fob. And if one of those passengers were to fall overboard, the captain will start to receive an alarm or a chirp. The whole system can be overridden, so if you choose to use your boat that day and you don't want to have this device active where it will kill the engines, you simply go into override mode. If the system is acting up because of an equipment failure, on the back side of this device, there's a mechanical or an electrical override. It's hard to explain, but there's a way to just pull this device completely out of the boat electronic system, electronic ignition system. So that's MOB plus. You know, again, with my wife, what she likes about it is, let's say one of the boats I run can be 43 feet. Well, if my son is back there rigging and I'm not paying attention and he falls overboard, her concern is that I won't know about it. With the MOB Plus system, as long as he's wearing his wristband, I'll get an alarm and I'll be notified. Safety is very important to us. There's many more safety features and items that we would like to highlight here, but these are just 3 that are important. I'm Paul with Boaters Exchange. I wanted to thank you for tuning in today. I hope it was informative. Any questions, give us a call. We have 2 locations to serve you, one in Rockledge, Florida, and one in New Smyrna Beach. And you can reach us online at boatersexchange.com. We are a Yamaha best-in-class dealer. We are also nationally ranked among all boat dealers as being one of North America's top 100 boat dealers. And we're also NMMA certified. I know that's a lot to say, but we really would like to give you a hand with your boating needs, whether that be service, whether that be selling your boat, whether that be modifying it, adding electronics, metalwork. We really do it all. It's a one-stop boating center. I'm very excited to meet you. If you see this video and mention that I made the offer, we'll get you a hat or a t-shirt. Come see Paul at Boaters Exchange.